everyone, and welcome to the Participatory Budgeting Voting Night event. I am here with the incredible Kiana Williams, the woman behind this incredible project. So Kiana, for those, let's do an introduction of who you are, what do you do at the Central New York Community Foundation?
Yeah, Kiana Williams. I'm Program Officer of Community Engagement here at the Central New York Community Foundation, and I had the privilege and honor of helping to lead this project on participatory budgeting to increase lead testing for children.
Yeah, and let me tell you real quick, for those of you who do not know what participatory budget is, don't worry about it, I was in the same shoes. Now I know, but can you please explain it in your words? What is it?
Yeah, it's a civic tool to engage citizens around issues that they care about and decide what to do with funding and create solutions towards that issue. So it's not a government entity or a foundation making the decision. It's the people who are closest to the issue get to decide how to solve the problem and decide where the money goes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. So how did the foundation decide to actually this project?
Yeah.
Turn it into the community?
Yeah, so this is part of our racial equity practice and also part of us meeting our trust-based philanthropy mission in terms of building equity for our entire community. And lead poisoning is a crisis here in Syracuse, and we were listening and watching and looking at the data, and the data was saying that our children are being tested, and that's a big problem, so that's why we wanted to address it. But what do we know? We're not the experts. We're not living that, and so we wanted to pull all the residents in who are going through this and tell us, guide us. Yeah. We're learning from you on how to do this and what would be the best solution.
Yeah, and that is first of all, that is great because people, unless we live it, we really cannot relate to it.
That is true.
So for them to participate in this, to be involved that deeply into this project that is so close to them, is incredible.
Exactly.
So it's a great thing. Shout out to the Central New York Community Foundation. Shout out to you for leading the project. So let's talk about how it was initiated. When it went to the community, how did they receive it?
Oh my gosh, it was overwhelmingly amazing. There were even some people saying that the meetings were electric and energetic. They felt energized, inspired. They felt heard. A lot of folks felt heard. And they made sure they told us when they didn't feel heard, and they were very clear, but we had that relationship established. You can't do this kind of work without trust.
Right.
And so I think a lot of residents have gotten so much feedback. They were like, thank you heard us. And, thank you for taking our ideas and putting them into practice and finding a solution together. That partnership, we're better together.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things, like looking at that data, looking at the numbers, here in Syracuse, that was something I was sharing with Kiana, how in my country, in the third world country, I used to hear about lead. And then being here many moons later, and we're still hearing this.
Yes.
And these numbers here in Syracuse are just, even though we see the numbers going down, it is still really high.
Yeah.
It is still really high. If we can pull that graphic, please, so we can see the numbers is really high.
Yes.
So now these projects, right, so this is the current lead prevention ecosystem.
Yeah, and this is mine. I have to say these were just free images that I put together to kind of describe what the lead ecosystem is.
Okay. All right. And then the one that this is the data.
Yeah,
right?
This is the data. So this was released by the Onondaga County Health Department last year, and you'll see a decline in testing in terms of the numbers. But then when you see the number of children who were tested, it's alarming, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what we're looking at, how the decline in testing was happening. So you have WIC, Women, Infant, and Children, which I've always said they used to do the lead testing. They provide nutrition for families, and then the state pulled them out of that and said you can only do nutrition, you can't do the lead testing anymore. So we lost that as an opportunity to find out which children had it. And then you had the pandemic.
Right.
And the pandemic kind of shed light on the systemic racism that has been plagued our community and the historic redlining.
Yeah.
And so a lot of our Black and brown children are disproportionately impacted by lead poisoning.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of correlation to some of the issues we're dealing with that. So that's what the data showed us, and we were like, wow, we really need to try to address this issue.
Right. And I was reading about the symptoms of lead poisoning, and how having this testing available, for example, for now the winner that's going to be announced now is going to is for lead poisoning prevention and testing, and as well as awareness.
Yes.
Right? Because we need that awareness. If we don't know what it is like to when a community at large as a whole, right? So we're looking at a child, and a child is acting different than others. The learning is different.
Yes.
Right? And then we're like, oh no, it just has learning disabilities.
No, there's
Right.
always a reason,
Yes.
right? There's always a reason. And if you really dig into it, but there's a lot of families that don't have the advocacy or know how to self-advocate.
Right.
So they don't know. And then when they do find out, they're at a loss because there's a big lead maze of services they have to navigate by themselves.
Right.
And that's a lot to ask the family who is dealing with this issue to go out and find out everything.
Right.
Go this number, go that way. And if you don't have the resources, it's just so difficult.
Yeah.
And you feel very
lost.
helpless.
Yeah, and you feel lost and you don't know where
Yeah.
to go. It's like giving you a diagnosis and just living you by yourself.
Right.
To go and help out. And then I was listening to the level in our bodies is supposed to be zero. So
no lead level is ever good. None at all.
Right.
It should be zero, and it's 100% preventable.
Right.
It's a neurotoxin. So you're talking about a little tiny person taking in this high level of metals. It's impacting their development, their opportunities, their ability to learn and concentrate. It has a whole host of negative effects.
Right.
And I'll let my sister Oceana Fair talk to you a little bit more about that later.
Yeah.
She's our expert on that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just incredible how everything, just all the symptoms can get intertwined and just like be just brushed off.
Yes.
Right. And that is the sad part about it. This is the sad part. And that's why we need the awareness, why we need the testing.
Yes.
And then and then I hear county executive has a budget that is going to include also. Is that going to be for housing, or?
I think it's a combination of things. It's to increase testing, and when you increase testing, you also have to have the supports and resources to make the spaces where the lead is found safe so the child doesn't go back into that.
Right, yeah.
So I think what the plan is should be like threefold actually. Scaling up support for the affected families already dealing with it, getting more children tested, but also having the supports to remediate the lead in those living spaces.
Right. This is great. The community knows it, that we need this, and so do the organizations in the community. Because we had, how many do you have? How many organizations came through first?
Oh my God, you mean as part of the participatory budget?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, we had a lot of folks involved. We had the Laylas, we had Peace Incorporated, Syracuse Peacemaking Project, Families for Lead Freedom Now. I'm missing people.
There were like 20, right? At first.
There were 20 groups that we reached out to, and they were part of our life needs assessment that the Community Foundation has. So that's a network of data sharing among 70 organizations.
Okay.
And so we all were looking at that data, and folks were like, yeah, we need to do something.
So tonight.
I know.
Tonight, one of them is going to receive $150,000.
Yes, one of the proposals will win it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's also a little nerve-wracking. There's tension, It's so.
But the turnout is incredible.
Yes.
We have, you guys, we're going to show you the crowd in a bit.
Yes.
But the turnout is incredible. The voting has been going on.
Oh my God, we are up to, maybe I shouldn't be announcing this, but we have close to 430 votes, and that's beyond my expectations. So if you haven't voted, you better get online, place your vote.
Or come through.
Come on down.
So City Market, there's still food here, so you can come over and enjoy some.
Yes.
Any last minute share thoughts that you would like to address? Any shout outs that you would like to give?
Yes, I want to shout out my community for showing up, for being here, for guiding us through this process. I am overwhelmingly just feeling so happy to see everyone coming together around this issue, because I know we're going to make a difference.
Yes, of course. There will be a difference made, and I'm so excited. Thank you so much for including us.
Thank you, Anna.
Because I learned so much about this. And that's what happens, right? When you get awareness, then you repeat it. And now more people get educated on this. And it is sad. It is a sad, and we're going to hear from Ashiana in a minute. And Tiffany. Yes. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back. My name is Anna Heed with Officially Unofficial, and we have Kiana Williams from the Central New York Community Foundation. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, and we're back with Tiffany Lloyd from the Allied Foundations, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so Tiffany, let's talk about what you do at the Allied Foundation and what was your contribution or your participation in this incredible project.
Absolutely. So I serve at the Allen Foundation as the Director of Women's Health and Empowerment.
Okay.
And I spend my time supporting women in the community, especially Black women. That's one of our primary areas of focus. And we work on health equity issues, especially health equity issues around reproductive health and reproductive health decision making. We have a Black women's campaign called Layla's Got You for young women ages 16 to 25. And what we do is we build and prepare those young women to get out as social justice advocates in the reproductive health care space.
Okay.
And we came on board with this project. We connected with the Community Foundation, I don't know, probably just under a year ago at this point. And they were hatching this idea around a participatory budgeting project. And they were looking for a community partner that could serve as their community arm, doing recruitment, getting people to events, and sort of facilitating community conversations.
Yeah, that's great. And I hear so much about the Layla Project, so we're going to talk about it in a little bit. But it makes sense because, women reproductive health, and we use makeup, and some of the times I hear that makeup has lead. So that goes into, right? So is that part of the advocacy that you're doing for?
Well, we spend time talking about all the topics that African American women and women in our community care about, what they're thinking about. And so for us, it's really the housing piece. Here in Syracuse, it's for the most part housing that is poisoning our young people, and that is for a variety of reasons. Many of those houses are headed by African American women. And so because that is our catchment, because we already have those young women sort of in our circle having conversations with them, we thought who better to bring to the table to lead the conversation and engage in it than African American young women.
For sure. So is the lead poisoning is sad. It's beyond sad, and it's even more so knowing the numbers that we have here in our community, right? And then the housing, and I was reading that the paint actually lead is sweet.
Right, exactly what young people like, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so the thing about it is, ideally we don't want any lead in our homes, right? We want all sorts of options for people to abate the lead if they realize that it's there. We want options for holding landlords accountable.
Right.
But first and foremost, we have to just heighten awareness that this is even a thing.
Yes.
Our local rates are so much higher than the state average, the national average, and most people, I would argue, don't know that locally.
I mean, I was surprised. I'm like, what?
I was too when I found out about it. And I really found out just how bad our lead issue was about a year ago when I started this conversation with the Community Foundation. I actually participated in lots of drives to send water to other states when they were having lead issues. And who knew we needed folks to send water here?
And that is, and that's what it is. It's just all about awareness. It's in the schools, and it's in our community. It's everywhere. And then for our moms, right? Moms, single moms, sometimes, right? Where we have to care, and we are worried, and we see our kid, right? A little, and we typically kind of brush it off, right? As a mom, the guilt that comes after that when it's found that their child has lead.
And it's another opportunity to heighten awareness just in a different area.
Yeah.
Making sure that parents are aware of developmental milestones and knowing where their young people should be, particularly from birth to age 5. That's a really important growth period in a young person's life. So just making sure that parents are aware of that, know what those milestones are, and know that if they notice any issues, if they think their child is not developing at the rate or on par with what they should be, that they have providers that they can reach out to, and then when they reach out to those providers, that they have access, that they are respected when they show up, that they are given the information that they need to be able to solve and take care of the issue.
Yeah, I'm so excited about the project. I cannot wait to see, to hear who the winner is.
Me too, I'm so excited.
Right, because no matter what, the proposals that came through will take, will make a dent on this. I want to say is actually an epidemic. Having 400 kids with high lead, that is not acceptable at all.
Right. Especially with the impact and the relationship that it has with later learning. Right?
Yes.
So, it's something that our schools are impacted by, our homes and families are impacted by.
Yeah.
Everyone in the community should be, pretty revved up about this issue.
Yeah, and then children, when they have, their lead poisons, later on in their lives, the more they grow, the more this gets to it. So it's not like they caught it in childhood and then afterwards when they grow up, it goes away.
Correct. It's a forever thing.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then incarceration happens.
Incarceration rates. You want to think about how it plays into violence rates.
Yep.
How many of these young people that end up being behind the gun were the young people that couldn't sit still in class and learn because they had elevated lead levels that no one knew about.
Yeah.
It's
not
very
the
concerning.
parents, not the teachers, not the doctor, nobody, because there was no testing.
There was no testing. Well, there was testing, but people didn't know that they needed to access it for a variety of reasons. People may miss wellness visits.
Yeah.
Transportation, access issues, not being respected when they get there.
Yeah.
This is really an issue that we need to attack from many different fronts.
Yeah, so glad about you being involved. So let's talk about Layla's project, because I hear that the social media front of it and the way the information is provided in social media has a lot to do with how we think in the community about lead poisoning.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about that.
For sure. So Layla is completely focused on African American young women. And so they lead the movement from beginning to end. Everything about our social media, everything about the local community issues that we get involved in, they are leading that work. And I'm just sort of standing by them, getting behind them, pushing them, allowing them to stand on my shoulders to make sure that they can reach their goals.
Yeah.
It started off as just a campaign that existed in the digital space. So we have a website. It's www.laylasgotyou.com. We are also accessible on all social media channels under the same handle, Layla's Got You. And there was a second part of your question. What was it?
So we're talking about.
I get excited when I'm talking about Layla.
Yeah. So the social media component and the awareness. So you guys took it. You ladies took it because it has to do with how aware are we in the community about and the message that is being sent in social media. What is the message? Because there's so many messages sent, and it could be anything, right? So that the lead poisoning could be. Kiana was mentioning that Layla's had a lot to do in the social media and the way and the awareness and how the meetings and how reaching people. So let's talk about that involvement.
For sure. So the first thing I'll talk about is the fact that there are digital divides in between the different generations, right?
Yes,
from
that's true.
millennials and Gen Z and Gen Y, Gen X. And so it's important to understand that these younger folks, the under 30s, the way you reach them is through that cell phone.
Yes.
It's through social media. It's also really important to allow them to create the materials, for them to use the words they need to use, right?
Yeah.
That's how we ensure that the message is tailored and that it is trusted, because they want to get information from what feels like a big sister, a big cousin, some source of information that's not necessarily a doctor, even though they do trust doctors and they trust leaders in the health community. But there's just something about a sister friend coming to you to tell you a little bit about what you should expect, or a question you should ask, or how you should consider something that is just different.
Yeah.
And we capitalize on that energy. At Layla, we have a chat bot. So that exists on our website. Okay. And that's a place where young women is really targeted to under 13. And they can come and they can ask questions about sex, love, and relationships.
Got it. Perfect. That's great.
For sure.
And it's just a chat bot. They just come in their own time, at their phone. No.
Absolutely.
That is great.
Come in, ask whatever question, completely anonymous and confidential, and they get responses immediately.
Yeah.
Which is another important piece for young people. They need the information when they need it.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily best practice to do a big presentation or have a class
Right.
and then hope they use it later. They
Right.
often want to access the info right when they need it.
Yeah, for sure. And it just here it is. They see the ambassadors online, and that they relate to them because, like you mentioned, they're using their wordings and all these things. So they start to trust them, and then they know that behind them is a team of people and doctors and all of that great stuff.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Young leaders leading by
yes.
example.
Love it. Love it. Okay, so is there anything else you would like to tell our viewers about Layla's project or about anything else that has to do with young women's and reproductive health?
No, I would just encourage all viewers, if you have an African American young woman between the ages of 16 and 25 in your life that you think would benefit from having a warm, safe, inviting, sisterly space to learn and grow, to be given pathways to opportunity, academic, job opportunities, you name it, you should tell them to come see Tiff at the Allen Foundation.
Okay, Tiff, so you're also on LinkedIn, right? So
Yes.
people can find you, so parents and the businesses who would like to hear more about Layla's project, you can contact her on LinkedIn. What is your LinkedIn name?
My LinkedIn name is Tiffany Lloyd.
Also,
government.
Your government name.
My government.
All right, everybody, thank you so much. Just stay tuned. We're going to be hearing from Oceana Fair, who is going to share her story about lead poisoning and her family. All right, everybody, my name is Anna Healy, and I'm here with Tiff, and we'll be right back. Hello, everybody, and we're back. What an incredible event, right? What an incredible event. The voting has been going on since this morning, and we see children here, parents, community members, all of those who participated in this incredible project, right?
Yes, it's a great turnout tonight.
Yeah, it's a great turnout, and I'm here with Oceana Fair. And Oceana, for those who do not know you, you are from the Southside branch manager, right? And tell us what you do at the Southside as a Southside branch manager.
So I'm part of an organization. We're called Families for Lead Freedom Now. We are an organization that is built of parents and families who have been directly affected by the lead poisoning crisis here in Syracuse. So we advocate for change in policy to help improve conditions. We advocate for families, whether that's with code enforcement, the health department, doctor's offices, going into schools with parents who need help getting IEPs and 504s for their children, just navigating through this maze that we call lead poisoning.
Okay, so you are the organization where, unfortunately, they are told that their child has high level of lead in their blood. They go
Right.
to you.
Yes, they can. They can join our organization if they need help with advocacy. We will help with that. We will put them directly in touch with the decision makers so that they can help push for policy for change.
Yeah. So let's talk real quick. We're deviating a little bit, but because you mentioned the 504 plan, let's talk about that real quick, because that's a plan that a lot of schools kind of push back a little bit on.
Right. So right now, lead poisoning is not recognized as a disability for an educational plan at all, 504 or an IEP. So if a child has lead poisoning, you have to prove that they have these codependencies or other conditions that are going on, whether it's ADHD, whether all of a sudden we see their reading levels drop, their math levels drop, which by then we're kind of behind the 8 ball. So we go in, and because we've had families actually be denied, and we go back in and say, here is the reports from the doctor, here's the reports from the health department, here is what the child's report card is saying, and we push until we get that child what they need.
So they push. So what are the kind of things that they say when they push back? Is it give me more testing? Is it like what is it?
Well, the thing about testing, the way we traditionally do it for learning disabilities, does not really apply when you're talking about a child who's lead poisoned, because traditional tests are just for basic learning disabilities. But when you're lead poisoned, that's a neurotoxin. And so you actually need more of a neural test to diagnose those disabilities. So what we do is we go in and show where those children are having those issues. A lot of time those children are labeled as behavioral. They're getting suspended or kicked out of class, and nobody is relating that behavior is directly connected to the child's lead poisoning.
Yeah. And that is, first of all, congratulations for doing that. I mean, I know that you have a story behind it, and it's near and dear to your heart, and that's why you push so hard. So let's talk about that. How did you find out first that your brother, right?
Right. So my brother was lead poisoned. We live in a house on Baker Ave back in the early 1980s. He was 2 at the time. He came in with a really high EBL, so we're talking about 45, 50, which is dangerously high, can actually be fatal. But back then, the conditions that were allowed for EBLs were much higher. We didn't know as much about lead as we do now.
So EBL is what?
It's elevated blood lead level.
But I read that it's supposed to be 0.
Right, because there's no safe level of lead for the body. We have no reason to have lead in our body. And lead actually tricks our body, and it bonds onto the receptors that normally iron bonds onto. So a lot of times you'll see these children are anemic, and that may be one of the first signs that they have lead poisoning.
Oh, wow. Okay. So please continue with your...
Yeah, so he was diagnosed back in the early 1980s. Fast forward almost 4 decades later, and my granddaughter was poisoned in a home that we were renting at the time when we thought lead poisoning was long behind us. And in trying to find help for her and to get our house remediated and make sure we got what she needed, that's when I came upon the statistics that Syracuse was still poisoning 600 children per year, that we have some of the highest.
What year was that again?
That my brother was
your granddaughter.
So we're in 23 now. She's 9. It was 5 years ago.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Right. So in doing that research, I found out we're still poisoning about 600 kids per year, that those kids are mostly black and brown children living in the highest poverty areas in the city. In those same areas, our children are at the highest rates of failing their 3rd grade reading level.
Oh, wow.
And it is also the areas of the city where we see the most shots fired. So when we start looking at all these things together and how lead affects the body, they're all connected.
Yes, I mean, it shows. And I mean, we can go on a rabbit hole for all of this, but I mean, it shows. Yeah. It's in the same areas. Mm-hmm. It's a high level lead. There's a whole correlation right there.
Right. And we know that lead affects the decision-making part of the brain. So this is why we are seeing teenagers who are picking up guns and taking actions before they're thinking about them, because it makes them very impulsive.
So besides besides home, like paint, because that's the typical thing that we think of, right? What other sources of lead are there around the homes or anywhere else that we should be aware of?
So in addition to paint, which is the primary source here in Syracuse, our soil. So the paint on the outside of my home was chipping. It contaminated my soil where my granddaughter played out in the yard, which was how lead was introduced into her body. Water can be a source if you have lead service lines coming into your home. Makeup, certain imported makeup, pottery, imported spices. So there's various places that can have lead. Those are a little lesser known sources of lead.
Right.
But the main sources of lead that you will see is that paint. In Syracuse, over 90% of the houses.
Okay, almost a tragedy, but we're good. We're okay. It's okay. All right, almost a tragedy. Live. Yes. Okay, and we're back. So life happens, right? So we are in a room full of families and children running around, almost knocked down the whole camera. And one of the residents that's coming over that you're going to hear from real quick just reflexes, right?
Right.
And it's the mom reflex.
Classic mom.
And cut it. But we're back. Okay, so where were we? We were talking about the house and outside lead and inside as well.
Right. So inside, a lot of times, I know people think that lead is seeing a child chew on big paint chips. That's not it. It's usually from lead dust, which can be really fine. You're not even really going to see that with the human eye. We've all seen a sweet and low pack, so we know how tiny those are.
Right.
And you know, in the sweet and low pack, the granules are much finer than in your sugar pack.
Right.
So that one little tiny pack is too much lead for 100 10 by 10 rooms.
Oh my gosh.
So it takes a very little amount of lead dust to poison a child.
I mean, they're so little.
Right. And their whole world, when you think about it, is on the floor. They're learning to crawl.
Right.
Everything goes in the mouth at that age.
Right.
Hands, toys, whatever.
Yeah.
They're pulling themselves up. So when you have those windowsills that contain lead paint, they're pulling themselves up on those windowsills. And they may bite down on them, especially if they're teething.
Right. Oh my gosh. That so many things that would, and this is why housing is so important. And Tiffany was talking about how she's a great advocate on housing. And so for your granddaughter, your brother, how are they doing now? Was there any treatment?
So for my brother, he was actually chelated at the time. Because of how excessively high his lead levels were, he's 43 now. Myself and my other siblings do take care of him. We have aides that come into his home 5 days a week. But basically, we have a 8-year-old and a 43-year-old body. And since he has outlived both of our parents and he is younger than us, we have to think what will happen if he'll outlive us. What provisions do we need to make to ensure that he can still keep his independence and that he's still taken care of.
Right.
So this can have a lifelong effect on children. And what provisions are we making as a community to make sure that those children are taken care of if, like in my brother's case, they should be outliving their parents. How are we doing that? For my granddaughter, because the levels, we know so much more now. So her highest level was around 17. We caught that early.
So what was it? What did you see in her that you like?
So all of a sudden, she was putting things in her mouth that weren't food. All the time, everything. And she was 4, so this was not a typical behavior of hers. It was not something she had done before. She also became very hyperactive, very irritable. We're talking about a fun-loving child who has a hug for every person she meets, and all of a sudden, this kid was angry all the time.
And that was at 17. 17 points.
17 micrograms per deciliter. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So we took her in, and the doctor ran every test under the sun, thinking that maybe she was missing some type of vitamin or supplement, and that was the issue. When nothing else panned out, she said, let me run a lead test. Sure enough, she had a high lead level.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And this is something. This is why awareness, and I know I keep mentioning this, awareness is so important, because you have a brother who went through that. Right. And still then, when you went to the doctor, it didn't occur to you to be like, okay, let's do.
Right, because so this year, it has been 50 years since Onondaga County declared war on lead. So for 5 decades, we've been dealing with this.
Yeah.
And lead is not talked about now as much as it was talked about in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
So there seems to be like some awareness that was dropped. Folks are not getting that education. Myself, I thought, it can't be lead. That was from so long ago. What do you mean we haven't solved the lead issue? So we need to make sure that we're getting that education. A lot of parents, the first time when they talk to me, the first time they ever heard about lead poisoning is after their child is poisoned.
Yeah, and that's what it is, like testing. By the time that they're doing the testing, the child is already poisoned.
Right. We have to stop using our children as the canary in the coal mine. We should be finding the houses before they poison the children, because that's the unique thing about childhood lead poisoning is it is completely preventable.
Yeah.
There's no reason for a child to be lead poisoned.
Yeah.
And instead, what we have been doing as a society, not only here in Syracuse, but throughout America, is we're finding our children after they've been lead poisoned and then wanting to react.
Yeah. And then there's a not a cure, but like a system to get the lead out, but it has to be high enough. I was reading about that.
So chelation can be very hard on the body. So they won't chelate unless the lead is really high and at critical levels. So what you want to do with lower levels is you want to increase that child's diet. You want to make sure they're getting in their leafy greens and things that contain iron, vitamin C, calcium, protein. Basically getting your child back onto a healthy diet to help lower the lead.
Okay, so the lead does go on its own, but it has to be with diet?
So it can lower. So lead does a couple of things. So lead settles in our bones.
Okay.
So when women become childbearing, that lead can come back out of your bones. Now you have an issue thinking about your unborn child. So women who have been lead poisoned want to let their OBs know that as a child I did have lead poisoning, and so that they can be aware of what they need to monitor for.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The other problem with lead is the damage is usually pretty much done once the child has been lead poisoned. Now we need to do those interventions to reconnect those brain connections, to make new brain connections to help them get through. The earlier the interventions, the better off the outcome.
Right.
We know a lot more now than we did in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's so much to talk about. I'm like, I have so many questions for you, Oceana. And I mean, this program is, I cannot wait to hear who the project is going to go to.
Right.
But whatever it is, it's going to be for that. It's going for awareness. It's going for prevention. It's going for testing. So I'm excited about it, and thank you so much for everything that you're doing for the community, because coming from you who already has had 2 instances in your family, now you can share more information just like you're doing now. And you could be a doctor there, Shiana. You're like a Dr. Fair, right? You could be a whole doctor. But is there anything else that you would like to share with the viewers, with any parents or anyone in the community about?
So I would say to parents and community members, get yourself educated. If you have those young people in your life, get them tested. You want to know, have they been tested? What those results are. and then make sure to what that follow-up should be.
Yeah, especially on those zip codes areas that have been identified. So we're going to put a slide there for you so that you can check out if you're in that area. Just make sure that you check that out. Check the zip code. Go to the doctor and get your child tested if you are on the zip codes. But we'll be right back with a resident who participated in this incredible participatory budgeting and telling us the experience. So we'll be right back. Thank you so much, Luciana.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, and we are back. We're back with Miss D. Miss D is a resident, a Syracuse resident, whose children, unfortunately, have been affected with lead poisoning, and we're going to talk about it. How do you find out that your children were affected? Like, what prompted you to bring them to the doctor?
It didn't even happen like that. So we went to a regular WIC appointment. It was a recertification.
Go ahead, talk again.
We went to a regular WIC appointment. It was a recertification appointment. So at that appointment, they test for lead and they also test their iron levels.
Okay.
So when they test it for the lead, they don't let you know. They send the results over to the Onondaga County Health Department. The Onondaga County Health Department, then therefore, once they get the test scores back, if it's high, they send you out documentation. But the way they do it, you wouldn't know. because it just comes in a plain white envelope. It doesn't say important on it, no nothing.
So nobody calls you and say, hey.
No, and because I'm involved in my community so much,
Right.
I do like a lot of, like, the health department was doing like these care walks and stuff for kids, like you can walk with your strollers, join other moms, things like that. So when I'm seeing this coming, I'm thinking that's what it is. So at this time I went back to work, so I'm like, okay, I know I can't really do this right now because now I'm back to work.
Right.
So I was just throwing the envelopes in the trash at first. And then they kept coming. I'm like, wait a minute. They don't come this much. It's just like a once a month thing. So I finally opened it.
So they keep sending you until you open it and react. Well, at least that's good, right? At least that's good, even though they didn't call you, but at least they keep sending you the envelope.
Right.
It would have been more effective if they would have made a phone call.
Or even if the envelope would have been red and it said urgent on it.
Right. That's true. I mean, okay. 1 point for them. Okay, continue.
So, okay, so then you find out, whatever the case is, the health department comes out, they educate you, so they say, by telling you, hey, you can eat these nutritious foods right here. Make sure you're wiping things down with cloths and cleaning solutions, and before you're painting over it, things like that. But what they don't tell you is, as a resident, you have a right, when your landlord is making them remodifications on your house, you have a right to say to him, let me see your EPA certification.
Say it to them.
Yes, you have that right. As a resident, you have the right to ask your landlord for their certification. If the landlord does not provide the certification, you do not, listen to me very clearly, you do not have to let them in your house, and you will not get in trouble. Do not believe them people when they tell you will get in trouble. You will not get in trouble. It is a law. They have to show you the EPA certification.
And that is, this is the information that they don't know, right? Information that we don't know. We're like, okay, yes, and then just saying yes. Because
and that's why that's why it happened to me twice, because the first time around, with the first landlord, I didn't know. I wasn't educated enough. So then when I met Mr. Paul, and we came up with the Families for Lead Freedom Now group, that's when I started getting educated and educating myself by meeting other members that have been affected by lead. I started going out to Albany, learning the different rules from Albany, and just even doing research on my own, and all of us coming together and dropping ideas, and that's how we found out.
And imagine, you found all of this out because you got involved. And I heard from one, I believe it was Tiffany, who was mentioning that, like you just said, when you're getting the recertification for WIC, they used to do the lead, but now they're not doing that anymore.
Because we started making too much noise. So all of a sudden now, mind you, I'm a single mom of 9 kids. My oldest is 25. My oldest was on WIC, right? So he used to be tested the same way as my twins. So how is it now? This group comes out, Families for Lead Freedom Now, we start making noise, and all of a sudden, it's illegal for WIC to be testing for the lead. They was doing it for 25 years. So make it make sense.
Right.
You gotta. That's why the numbers are so high.
This is insane.
We have, and if those numbers over there on that chart are correct, I added all those numbers up. That is 2,096 children in the year of 2022 that was just poisoned by the city of Syracuse. 2,096 children that will never, ever get to live to their full potential.
Yeah, that's sad.
Because now they have been affected by lead. And most of them are black and brown children. So it's just, it's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. And the Center of Your Community Foundation doing this, having this initiative, doing this budget where the residents got to vote on the projects that were coming, and it's $150,000 that will help out.
Correct.
Right? Will help out this, and there are other organizations that can still do the same thing.
Correct.
Because how many? 2,000, right? I mean, a lot more collaboration will be needed.
Correct. Instead of taking $85 million and building an aquarium, he could take that $85 million and split it into 4 different sides of town, and we could start taking care of these kids like how we need to. But don't worry, we'll have electric eels here soon. So that's just how that goes. Like, that's how they think about us, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, things will happen. I mean, organizations like the Center of Your Community Foundation, other things, things will happen. It's sad that it's happening at such a slow rate.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
It's just because, like you're mentioning, kids continue to get poisoned and not live into their full potential, because they were just saying 17%.
Yep.
17 of the grams, the lead poison, it was 17% for Oceana's granddaughter. And she was already exhibiting a lot of behavioral issues.
My baby was at a 12, and my oldest one was at a 22. The one with the 22, he does not talk as much anymore. He has a very bad stutter from this. Mind you, if you know my story, you know my biggest thing was going out into my community when I first moved on the north side, taking him to the store, a gentleman from the store hearing him talk and told me that my baby was very articulate. He told me to keep track of that and to keep encouraging him with that because that's things that the FBI look for, whatever the case is. Mind you, he was only going on 2 at this time. I'm not thinking of that.
Right.
He got affected by the lead and it's rough.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I'm sorry your children had to go through that. I mean,
you.
they're the little bodies and with very little help, right?
No
very
help.
little help.
The
Right.
help that you get is a Section 8 voucher. That's the answer to their question. That's the answer to your children be affected by lead. Oh, your children have been affected by lead? Here's a Section 8 voucher. That doesn't do anything. That doesn't do anything.
Oh my gosh, I don't even a lot more needs to be done. We'll
Yes.
continue to be doing this. The awareness. This is one step forward. We'll continue there. I've heard there's been some budget that's coming through. There's going to be some part of the budget is going to be going towards lead.
That's what they say. We'll
Right.
see, because
So-
they've been telling us that for years. So
So hopefully this will happen. I mean, those numbers are there.
yes,
Those numbers are there.
Right.
So
there's no hiding that.
So-
Those numbers are really, really there.
let's stay hopeful. Let's
I
stay
am.
hopeful. Let's
I
stay
am.
hopeful.
I have no other choice. I got them 2 babies that's
Exactly.
depending on me. So.
Exactly. And one of them is going to be singing here tonight.
Yes, he
You
is
guys are gonna
performing
be-
for the first time his little lead rap that he created himself.
A lead rap.
Yes, a lead rap.
Oh my gosh.
Yep,
So how
it's a
old is
lead.
he again?
He's 7 years old.
7
and-
years old is going to be rapping for us tonight in a little bit, 8:30, just a couple of minutes. Just stay tuned for that. We'll be right back. Miss Z, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
doing this. All right.
to the next raffle, and before we have young superstar Vaughn come up and do his rap this evening, I'd like to call Oceana and Miss Darlene to give some announcements, or I don't know how y'all want to do. It's the same announcement, right? Or two different announcements. So Miss Oceana and Miss Darlene, after you guys come on up, give us some announcements about some community events that are happening.
I know, I was confused. I'm like, wait. No, you do the one on the 9th first because this is after the 9th.
Okay, so on May 9th, which is next Tuesday, Families for Lead Freedom Now is chartering a bus to Albany for Lead Advocacy Day. We would like to fill this bus. This bus holds about 50 residents. I will leave a sign-up sheet or a piece of paper up front where you can sign up to be on the bus. That way we can get you registered so that you can meet with your representatives and advocate for lead. In addition to, we will be holding a press conference alongside Lead Free Kids New York, in which Syracuse will be featured, and Darlene is going to be our resident speaker for that. And it's going to be a whole week of advocacy in Albany, so during one of those days, Lead Free Kids New York will also feature the I-81 Viaduct project and what the dangers are around lead in our community regarding that. So let's sign up, let's fill this bus, let's go up to Albany and represent Syracuse.
And then the following week after that, on Saturday, May 20th, there is the Rent is Too Damn High rally and march. Again, that's going to be Saturday, May 20th. That's going to be in Brooklyn, New York. Citizens Action of New York is in charge of that one. They will be doing a bus from Syracuse down to Brooklyn, free transportation, free food. All are welcome to come. We are looking to at least get 30 to 50 Syracuse residents down there and trying to marginalize with New York, because I don't know if y'all are aware, but they're basically saying that we can't get good cause, because if they give us good cause, that means that they have to mess with their rent stabilization down there. So they're trying to turn us against each other, because now New York is thinking we're messing with their rent stabilization, and upstate is now thinking that they're messing with their good cause message. So it's time for us to show them that it's power in the people, and if we come together, we cannot be stopped, and they work for us. So again, like she said, there will be a sign up for that one, and I'll also make sure it's a sign up there for the May 20th one as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Darlene. Thank you, Oceana. So we're coming down to the last half an hour. If you have not voted, please go and cast your vote. It's very close. I can't say anything yet, but please make sure that you cast your vote. Now I'd like to call Maya to do the next raffle. And then we're going to hear an awesome lead rap. Superstar Vaughn is going to come up and do his thing. I hope I got it right. Okay.
All right, everybody, so we are on our last raffle for the evening. So we are raffling off our Sizzling Summer Kit. So that includes a grill and all the other essential. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, it's 3 of them. My bad, y'all. Not the good one. We got a gift card available for our next raffle winner. You want to? I'm going to let Jaria pick our next one. It's all right. Azari Williams! Woo! Congratulations! Look at that! Go, dude! You got you some money, dude! All right, money man, go ahead. All right, so that was our third raffle. We have one more for the next few minutes. So in the next few minutes, we'll hit you with the last raffle. So thank you.
Okay, so I think we got to cue some music. And without further ado, I've been waiting for this event all night. So come on up, Superstar Vaughn. You ready? You ready? Come on. You got this. All right. Yes. Do your thing, baby. You got it.
You got it. Yeah. Want me to hold your hand, or you want me to let go?
Hold my hand.
Do you need to turn your back to them? Do you want to turn your back to them? Are you okay? Okay, you want me to introduce you? Okay. All right, so he came up with this rap because him and his twin have been affected by lead, not once, but twice. We've had two different landlords, same house, unfortunately. So Devon, one day he comes to me and he says, Mom, I could rap. And he starts rapping, and he called it a family rap at first that he did. And I was shocked and I was amazed, so I gave him a little challenge just to see, how his wordplay was. So I said, you know what? Why don't you tell your story about how you went through the lead and how it affected you? So he did. And when he came back to me and he did this rap, he incorporated, I've taken him to Albany. They've lobbied with me in Albany. I'm going to just let him tell his story.
Hello, everybody.
She's going to start your beat. Here it goes.
Um,
You got it. I'm going to let you go.
Me and my brother got lead poisonous by a landlord, and then he had put lead in our house. Now there's lead in her entire whole house. Lead is not a white. Fight. Housing is a human right. Now, landlord, we're coming for you. We're getting sick back and forth. Now, landlord, you always let please change when we told you to stop and you wouldn't stop. So we give you more than one chance, and then you won the chance. Now you don't like it when people let poisonous your children. We gave you a whole chance. You broke that chance, and I promise now you won't get to leave freely. You should have thought about Syracuse before that. We getting sick back and forth. Now we don't. Now we're making a community. Now, Lord, you let poisonous me and my twin. Now we are making a community. We go to this place called. Now we're me and my twin brother going to everywhere where our mom go. One of our vacations was in hospital. Now we can't. Our mom told us that our landlord left poison us. Now we was surprised. Now we can't. Now, landlord, we're coming for you because you left poison me and my twin. You should have thought of saying sorry before you even came. You tried to be slick again. You only been slick one time, and then there's other landlord that car, and he tried to run away as fast as he can, but we chased after him, but we lost him one time. Then we found him. Then we started chasing him right now. We was on his track. Now he tried to escape us. We still wanted him. People, if he tried to go up the hill, he couldn't. There was gonna be people there walking down. If he tries to go down, he was stuck. He was stuck going up left or right. He would still get surrounded. So you are surrounded in the street. You said sorry before that.
Good job, Wayne. Good job. Good job.
Let's give him one more round of applause. That's awesome. You did a great job. Thank you. All right. So now we're going to give all of the applicants a chance to come up and share some of their reflections while we get down to that final 5 minutes of the vote. Again, make sure you vote, spread it out to your networks. I believe we have a few of the applicants here to come up and share their reflections. They won't talk so much about the proposals, but about the process. So I don't know, do y'all want to flip a coin or do you want to just come on up? I don't know how you guys want to do this. I can go in order. Mr. Seals, would you like to come on up and share your reflections first? You're good? All right. Anybody else? They're pooped. Everyone's very tired. Louis? All right. Awesome. So we got Louis Escoboza, United Way, CNY. Take it away.
All right. Thank you, Kiana. Hi, everyone. Thank you again for being here. My name is Louis Escoboza. I'm at the United Way of Central New York. And while I'm not going to talk to you about my proposal per se, our proposal, I'm incredibly proud of our community and the amount of people who are here tonight and who have participated in all of the community sessions that we've had to date. And for me, the neat thing about this process is that we put trust and power and money in the hands of community. And I think that's incredibly impactful, right? Community knows what's best for it. And so we have to be involved as best as we can. And it's been great to see that and see that people care about their community, right? People care about their kids and they know what's best for them and their children and their families, right? And so I think we need to elevate those voices in the ways that we've heard Darlene tell her story throughout this process to speak truth to power, right? And so kudos to the Community Foundation for doing this process and, you know, trying to do something different, do something new. And again, amazing process. Thank you. Todd?
Any other applicants want to just share some of their reflections? Please. Anybody? Thank you. Sequoia, who's part of the Village Birth International Doula for a Queen.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Sequoia Kemp. I just want to first say thank you to everyone for being here and thank you to the foundation for leading this project. One of the beautiful things about Sankofa is that we are huge on getting feedback from our board, our staff, and even our doula collective members before we even make decisions. So we have staff right here who can attest to the fact that we truly try to be community-led, we try to be collective-led, and we try not to make sweeping decisions without hearing from people who it's going to impact, from our staff down to our community members who we serve. So it was important for us to be a part of this process on a larger scale, and I think that the city could learn a lot about listening and having participatory budgeting on a larger scale, citywide and also countywide. So I just want to say this is important. I think that it's important for Black-led organizations to receive funding because we know the solutions to our issues, and I hope that we continue to work together collectively. Thank you.
Thank you, Sequoia. Any others? Oceana, Families for Lead Freedom Now, part of the Syracuse Peacemaking Project proposal.
So what I will say is this has been a long process. Families has been on the ground with this process since its inception with Kiana and Darrell, if he's still here, and all the pieces that brought this together. So we've learned a lot about each other. We have learned a lot about this process. We definitely made some mistakes along the way, but we made a lot of progress. And I think tonight shows that when we show how many people that we brought out in this community in this room tonight. So hopefully we can continue that working relationship because our end goal is to make sure that our children are safe.
Okay. Anyone else before we move on? We're getting close. Is it okay to announce the number of votes yet, or should I wait? I should wait. Yeah, they're still coming in. So let me see. We're ready to do the last raffle? Okay. Or maybe a little bit of music and then the raffle? Let's listen to some music, and please DJ Taylor some love, y'all. She's been doing an awesome job. All right, so try to eat a little bit more food, and we'll be right back with you like 5-7 minutes.
includes a igloo or a, what is it? Cooler, jeez. A folding chair. We got some utensils, and then we also have our grill that is included. So I have everybody's name who has a raffle. It's in our bag. So I need my last drum roll, please. Marcus Webb. Congratulations! All right. So we got this big old items for y'all to take home. Congratulations. That's all you. That's all you, Marcus. Go ahead. Ooh, y'all Layla having a cookout.
Uncle Mark said the burgers on him.
So congratulations, and thank you to everybody who participated in the event tonight and for our raffle. Thank you.
All right, I got one thing to say. Marcus was my student many, many years ago in 10th grade social studies. I'm so proud of him. I just had to say that. Thank you. All right, we're getting close. I think we have how many more minutes? 3 minutes to go. 477 votes. We did that. We're getting close. All right. So maybe just a little bit of, did you wrap it up over there already? Okay, never mind. So that is okay. Please help yourself. There's some boxes, I think. Grab some food to take while we're waiting these last few minutes out. Wow. Okay. So it was close all day. Between two, it was very close all day. And then this one proposal pulled ahead. So are y'all ready? I'm so excited. With 181 votes, Village Birth International has won the proposal. Yeah. Second, with 154 votes, was Lead the Way. They were neck and neck most of the day, and then I don't know what y'all were doing your campaigning. Baby Back came in with 59, and United Way with 54. Congratulations to everybody, because no matter what, everyone's still doing the work, and they all still got to work with each other. So it's great because these partnerships are going to happen. Thank you all, and I just want to make note, second and running proposal will be presented to the Let's Save CNY, and I think there might be some opportunities we're going to try to get those other proposals funded. Maybe not right away, but it's on our radar, and we definitely want to support them. So I just want to make sure everyone knows they're not going away. It's just we're going to find another way to get the money. Congratulations. You're tired, I'm tired. Let's go home. Thank you, everybody. All right, yes. So Lauren, and a big thank you to Lauren. We have to go out this door or the other door, but we gotta go home. All right. All right, we're so excited. After 9 months, just like the gestation period, we've come to the close of this project. And Village Birth International, Doula for a Queen, Gen Z Wellness, and the Sankofa Healing Project was the winning proposal tonight with 181 votes. So excited. How do y'all feel?
It's speechless. It's speechless. I think I was emotional because I don't think people maybe they do realize it, but it is so hard to get money for this work, and we know it saves lives. And so, it means so much more when our community comes out and they support our project and they realize that the families on the south side, north side, east side, west side, whoever gets a doula through our program is going to be impacted and get this information. And we hope that these babies and these pregnant moms will be able to survive, and not just survive, but thrive in our community.
I feel the same way. I mean, I feel like, Sequoia and I, we've been doing this work for so long together, and I cannot tell you how many no's we've had from funders. We get so many no's. Meanwhile, we keep doing it. We keep knowing that this work is critical and is necessary. Reproductive justice is possible. And then to get an opportunity from Kiana like this to do participatory budgeting and have our community say yes to us, it is so validating after so many no's to have our community say yes to us. So yes. I just want to thank everyone who voted, and I have to stop talking before I cry. Yes.
Wow, that validation is very important, and the work and impact that you're going to have is going to be amazing. All these little babies that were here tonight and all those future babies we're here for them, and that's what you do, and that's the beauty of the work.
Yes,
Thank you.
So we hope that people will come to Sankofa. We have our Wellness Wednesday project. We're going to be doing lead testing now, so we hope that you can come get some clothes, some diapers, some wipes, but also get some preventative care from our center.
Yes, if you're pregnant or if you're thinking about pregnancy, if you want support for postpartum care, if you're breastfeeding, if you have a daughter who's menstruating, if you're a mother going through menopause, contact us. We are here. Any birthing folks, people who are out here, seeking reproductive health care. If you had an abortion, seek us out, really. And if you want to be a doula and you're serious and you ain't playing around, you could come talk to us. If you're playing around, don't come.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.